Hey, this is Tom Jacobs from tdjacobs.com. This video is about Moldavite. It is the energetically programmed crystal from me for the month of Sagittarius 2016. What I like to do when I think about a month that's coming up and what I might feature, I like to think about the potential arc of transformation each zodiac sign offers or outlines. And so during Scorpio, it was onyx, because onyx helps us dig down deep into the deepest pain and fear. It's very Plutonian, scorpionic stone. And so I was thinking about Sagittarius, and I had this hit to do Moldavite. And here's my little piece of Moldavite. And then I thought about it, and that was just an intuitive hit. So I thought about it for a while, and I realized what I want to teach you about Sagittarius that Moldavite does. Not that there's some kind of formal connection between the two. You know, when you look up stuff about crystals, they'll say, you know, associated chakras, associated signs, and whatever. And they're all different. This one will say Capricorn, this one will say Leo and Scorpio, this one will say Taurus. It's all different. But anyway, this idea of what, you know, not the meaning of a sign, but what kind of arc of transformation, I guess is the best way I can say it right now. And with Sagittarius, it's expansion. But if we're holding on to things that limit us, we can't expand. It's about opportunity and developing or recovering faith. But if we're holding on to old ideas of who we are, old self-image, ideas about what life is and who the universe is and who others are, and old ideas about what's possible on Earth or in our lives, we won't expand. We won't seize opportunity. We won't recognize that opportunity actually exists. So this video is going to teach you about how I understand and work with Moldavite and what the charged, energetically programmed Moldavite that I offer through my site will do. What it is, it's a tektite, which means it's glass, meteoric glass. Some people seem to believe that it is a piece of the meteorite that hit southeastern Germany about 14.8 million years ago, the place we would now call Germany. And then all the pieces flew into what is now Czechoslovakia. So kind of landed here, explosion, pull all these pieces in the adjacent areas. So it's glass, and it's not from the meteorite, but it's a result of the collision of the meteorite creating this fireball. So these are kind of the molten remnants of the collision. So the meteorite from somewhere else hitting the Earth. So as you can see, it's dark green. I'm going to show you some other examples here. These other ones are available on my site. A lot of them look like this, where they're kind of thin and look like shards or something, and they're kind of lighter because they're thinner. A lot of them look like that, and then a lot of them look like this, where they're little nuggets, right? They're little nuggets. Here's another example. They feel good, so I'm dropping them. So so it's glass, and I didn't think it would hold an energetic charge. My brain didn't think so. My brain was curious. And then here is yet another one. You can see the contours, and you can see the textures in there. And of course, it's denser, it's thicker, so it's, you know, you can't see through it like you can with the thin ones. So it's got an otherworldly energy to it. But again, it's the result of the collision of the meteor and the Earth. So when I first encountered it, I read a bunch of stuff that you know, sometimes I encounter stuff about high vibrating crystals, and it sounds hyperbolic, and it sounds absurd. And so I'll get one and play with it, and I'll sit with it, I'll sleep with it, I'll hold it, I'll journal about it, I'll meditate with it, I'll talk to Jehudi, I'll do research online while I'm holding it to see if the vibration, you know, feels true of what I'm reading. But with this one, I knew there was something awesome and special about it. I knew that the hyperbole, what seemed perhaps to some hyperbolic, was actually true. So I got one a couple of years ago. I got obviously this one, and I would hold it for a very long time in my fingers like this while I was doing other readings. So I would take, and actually do this every time I channel and teach and do readings for people. I'll take Larimar in one hand, and then I'll put these here, and then oh my gosh, a little trash pile. Sorry, my stuff pile. And then I'll take a sea jasper in this hand, and then I'll add in Auralite 23. And the combo of these, this is for upper chakras. This is kind of 7th chakra. These are kind of 5th chakra, and this kind of ties them all together. So opening the channel, 5th chakra, surrendering my mind to serve truth, and then opening the spiritual connector. So that's kind of how I channel. For some people, they really need to get grounded first, but I've been doing that for years, and that's my daily practice. So this really works well for channeling for me. When I add in the Moldavite, it boosts the process, and I can feel a distinct difference, as if, let me put these others down so I can focus. It's as if the volume gets turned up 100%. So instead of, I feel like I'm on 5 out of 10 and I feel good, I'm going to channel for this client. I'm going to, do a channel meditation from Jehudi for my subscribers and other people. And I feel good. I pick this up and everything just gets clearer and louder and bigger and more open. So I've used it as an amplifier and a booster for a couple of years. When I spend time with it by itself, I couldn't get a lot out of it by itself. What it does, so now I'll get into kind of the qualities of what it actually will do for you, because since getting accustomed to it as a booster and an amplifier, I've really gotten to know it better. It will change the shape of your consciousness. Again, it sounds hyperbolic. It's not. It sounds absurd. It sounds like snake oil or something, right? It's too good to be true. When you're ready for it, if it calls to you, if you connect with it, you see a picture of one and you're like, oh my God, what is that? Then you're ready to have something shift. It is a potent spiritual transformer, but how I want to describe that is not, it's not a, when I say spiritual, I'm talking about consciousness, grounded in your body, sane, practical, real, being in 3D and living in an intentional way that creates magic. So for me, spirituality isn't, I'm going to meditate on goodness, I'm going to practice my mudras, and go to yoga class. That's not spirituality for me. Spirituality is in the real world. And so it's about my body, my consciousness's connection to my body, my heart, my energy, my emotions, how I'm dealing with energies in the world around me and within me. That for me is spirituality. It's like a real time, there's a real time practical thing for me. Sanity, right, is my spirituality. Oh gosh, I got to work on that. I got to think about that for a while. I don't know if that's some kind of Freudian slip or something. So this will tend to change the shape of your energy field and your consciousness to purge something that doesn't work for you. You can't spend a lot of time with Moldavite and hold on to that resentment, that bitterness, that powerlessness. You can't do it. That's the kind of otherworldly quality to it. There is magic to it, but it will challenge you to be willing, when you use it, will challenge you to be willing to let the shape of your field change. So as I said, I wasn't sure if it would hold a charge, because I've done this with obsidian, which is volcanic glass, and it is said to absorb negativity. And so I got some pieces of it and worked them up in the garage and explored it. And I really felt like it was absorbing negativity. But when I put energy into it, it didn't seem to stay. So I was like, that's cool. Now I know I won't, spend too much time making obsidian for people, because it doesn't fit with the energetic programming that I do. And so I wasn't sure about this, but there was an intuitive nudge to explore it. So when I was in Denver in September at the Body Mind Spirit Expo, there was a vendor who had only Moldavite. And he seemed pretty cool from afar. I saw him kind of across the big expo room that I was in. He's maybe like, 80 or 100 feet away or something. And his energy was good. And the people who were working for him, like when he was taking breaks or wasn't there, like the energy was good, you know? So when I had a minute, I went over and talked to him. And I don't handle other people's Moldavite because I don't know if it can be energetically charged. At that point, I didn't know. Just in case it would work, I wouldn't want to mess with anyone's Moldavite. It's really expensive stuff. So I went over to him and said, hey, I'm a channel. I'm an energy worker. I energetically program stones. And I'm wondering if you could help me out. And he said, sure. And I said, here's my Moldavite. I'm wondering if you would be willing to hold it to see if you feel an energetic charge, if it feels different to you than all the Moldavite that you spend all this time with. And he like wiped his hands energetically. And I was like, this is the right guy to ask because he's aware of the energy. And so he picked it up and he held it and he closed his eyes and he said, oh, there's a portal in here. So I said, great, confirmation. I bought 10 because I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to mess with other people's stones. And even when I go to gem shows, I rarely pick up other people's stuff in stores or gem shows, even clients that come to the house. Here's my favorite crystal. I don't touch it because as soon as one is in my hands, you know, as soon as I close my fingers around it, it gets into my energy field and I develop a relationship with it and I can change the vibration of it. Some people like this, but their favorite stone, I'm not going to mess with. So I was so happy to have this confirmation. I bought these 10 pieces and I started charging them at the show. So this is kind of where my relationship, my kind of phase 2 relationship with Moldavite really started to take off because I stood in the gem show at my table, right, talking to people, selling crystals and having them drink Oralite 23 water. And I held those 10 pieces in my hands and I eventually put mine in there. So I had 11 in my hands, cupped. And I was putting energy into them. And then that energy actually feeds back and changes me. And I started to shift. I started to feel the shape of my energy field change. So I had to put them down. But when I came home, when I got organized again, I put them up on my site. And a few people now have them. When you're ready for it, it's a potent transformer. Like I say, changing the shape of your field. So when we talk about, I want to pull it back to this, arc of potential with the sign of Sagittarius. Optimism, faith, hope, belief, taking risk, belief in yourself. Well, as it turns out, and so Sagittarius transits or the point of Jupiter is thought to be lucky, right, and expansive and everything's good with it. As I said, if you're holding on to something negative, you can't open to possibility. I always think of it as there's this awesome thing you could pick up, this shiny thing, but you're standing there holding a bag of your karmic rocks. I don't know if I deserve it, or I don't know, these doubts, any guilt or shame or regret, any judgments of others, judgments of self, all those things prevent us from being open to opportunity. So, what this does is it makes it uncomfortable and then impossible for those things to stay. So letting go of something is in fact the best thing to do during a Jupiter transit or during a Sagittarius transit. Right now, the sun, the giant flashlight in the sky, is in the sign of Sagittarius. What can I let go so that I can expand? So that I can be open to having faith? What can I surrender and release? Remember, Jupiter co-rules Pisces, surrender. What can I get rid of in order to expand? In order to feel better about life and myself? And there's this, I mentioned it a minute ago, there's an important thing with Sagittarius about confidence. And we have this, the absolute perfect example of this with President-elect Trump, where he is so confident that his opinion is right, that facts don't matter. Now, he has this south node in Sagittarius with the moon right on it. So his happiness rests upon him believing that he's right, even if there's no factual basis for what he believes. What an amazing example for us as Saturn transits Sagittarius, asking us to look at the power of belief and the reality that we can get ourselves into, the modes and rhythms we can get into where we completely ignore reality. So there's an element of belief with Sagittarius and Jupiter and the ninth house, this whole archetype. So what do you believe is possible? Who do you believe you are? What's available to you? What does the past mean? What does the present mean? What are you investing the future with meaning? What's going on? So this is going to change the shape of your energy field. So you're not holding on to those limiting beliefs. One of the keys to this archetype, regarding this archetype, one of the keys to understanding what a human is and is about, every single person is shaped by the beliefs that he or she carries. Not the belief system, not the religion, not the philosopher that person liked to read, not that, not the politics, but the fact that there is a lens through which each person views the world. Rose-colored glasses or any other shade, right? That's what I'm talking about. Humans don't realize that they are guided by belief every minute of every day. So a spiritual transformer like Moldavite is going to change the shape, the color, the contour, the thickness of that lens. And stupid crap doesn't have any room any longer. So that's why I say when you're ready, this is perfect for you. And you'll know it if it's right for you. You'll be drawn to it. You'll have an intuitive knowing. You'll have a gut level knowing. You'll have a feeling of part of you seeking and reaching out and needing it. When you're not ready, it's because you're not done believing the limiting belief. You're not done getting out of it what it gives you. You're not done milking the suffering, milking the teat of suffering that part of you has felt nourished on. And one of the most important things as a spiritual teacher that I can tell you is it's okay if you're not ready. I can't tell you how many times I've been frustrated with something or angry and had some counselor, intuitive teacher, lover say to me something like, just let it go. And I'm not ready to let it go. I'm not ready to be done being angry. I'm not done deriving a sense of identity, and therefore meaningfulness or purposefulness from that unhappiness. So when you're ready, you're ready. When you're not, respect it. If your brain says, well, I should have one of those Moldavites, put it off. Don't get one. Because it will shake things up. So a little more about my experience with this, and this was actually last night, because I thought about doing this video. Now the sun is, the sun's halfway through Sagittarius. I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks, but I've been in a space where I wasn't done being upset about something. I wasn't done being frustrated and angry, a little bitter, a little resentful, and not knowing how to contextualize or file this frustrating situation that I deal with on a regular basis in my personal life. I know, my intellectual, spiritual, heart-centered self knows that there's a purpose for everything and that everything comes to us to show us what we're vibrating and what we either need to own and embrace or own and surrender or get rid of or release. So I know that, but still the feeling of the perception that something is being done to you, that kind of victim thing, it happens for people because the brain feels victimized all the time. And we have our brains, and our lives are exercises in contextualizing our relationship with our brain and what we think these stories mean. So I wasn't done being unhappy about something. So I've used this for channeling. I've put this in my hand and, but I didn't feel like I could spend time with it and then do a video. And then last night, I perceived I still wasn't done with it. I wasn't done with the unhappiness, but I took this Moldavite to bed. It was the only one that I held for hours in the evening before I went to sleep. And it was extremely uncomfortable because it's the vibration, and this is energetically programmed, which speeds up any effects and adds to the effects. And if you just got a Moldavite from somebody else, there'd be an effect. It would take much longer. These are immediate because they're giving off the frequency that will change your field. But it was uncomfortable because it was making it impossible for me to hold on to the negativity. And that's what I wanted. And then I slept with it and I had it with me and worked with it again this morning. Well, last night I felt in the way of the energy field changing, I felt electric. I felt like I was shaking last night a little bit, and I thought, kind of late, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to sleep. Though my brain and my eyes were tired, my body was tired, I felt electric. And, you know, when I get full of energy, I have natal Mars and Uranus in the first house, and transiting Uranus is opposing my Uranus. So I'm in the Uranus opposition, that classical midlife crisis, get a red sports car, whatever, you know, that stereotypical crisis. And I felt filled with electricity, and my girlfriend had her hand on my arm, and I felt like I needed her to move. I didn't say anything because I thought, well, maybe I can just manage this. But I felt like I was just going to start quivering just in response to somebody touching me. So anyway, it was just this kind of crazy thing. And I ended up going to sleep. I didn't sleep that much, but I woke up. I still felt the same way, but it was grounded. So something in my field shifted, and I was able to contain this feeling of electricity, which I typically cannot contain. I have to stand up, I have to walk around, I have to do something physical, go lift some weights, I have to go for a walk. You know, I have to do something. And I just sat with it, and I woke up feeling incredible, feeling amazing, feeling lit up, but not in an urgent way that something was wrong. So, and I asked the question, you know, kind of like what's going on to the tarot cards, and the answer was the Magician. It's about managing energy and utilizing, you know, all of your skills and talents and tools in the right way, at the right time, for the right reasons, for the right duration. So I decided it was okay to come do this video now. Like, I feel like I've got enough to tell you. You know, I feel like I've got, you know, some examples to share with you about what kinds of things to expect. But the major thing is, with this Sagittarius idea, you can decide to change your mind. You can decide that you're going to be positive. But you need an energetic interrupter that does the job. And that's really the point of all the crystals and stones that I offer. You know, each one holds a frequency that will interrupt your normal way of doing things, your way of relating to thoughts and how they connect to your consciousness and what you believe things mean, the karmas or beliefs, and the deep emotional stuff that's tied to the karmas and the beliefs. All those things, we need energetic interrupters. Affirmations are part of the process. Energy work, channeling, meditation, physicality, exercise, sexuality, what we put in our bodies, nutrition, you know, vitamins and minerals, all of these things are part of the story. And yet there comes a certain point for a lot of people when an energetic interrupter is needed. I've been working on this thing forever. And for me, for weeks, I've been in this unhappy space with this particular thing in my personal life. How can I understand this? How can I be grateful for this thing that seems to be torturing me? Melodramatic, that's what, you know, whatever. Cancer South, Node Scorpio South, a little melodramatic. But how can I be grateful for this uncomfortable situation that seems to be hurting me, but is actually bringing something up I need to deal with? And so this has actually been a lifesaver, and I forced it. I sat down with it and held it in my hand. You know, it's important to wrap your fingers around it and bring it into your energy field. Lots of times it shows people will pick up a stone and they'll just put it in their hands and close their eyes and see if they can feel it. And I'm like, no, wrap your fingers around it, because that's an act of will. Excuse me, an act of will, taking it into your field, saying, yeah, I'm going to relate to this. Let me incorporate this. Let me see what this vibration does. So I held it, and it changed what I was vibrating, I'm happy to say. So along with the idea that when you're ready, you know, it's right for you. There are times, like I said, when we're not done feeling something. You may get one. You know, I have 6 left on my site. You may get one and bring it in and be excited and have something wonderful come up, and then it may be followed by something frustrating that you need to process. If you don't connect with the stone after a few days or weeks, and this is the same for all the crystals and stones I offer, let it be okay. This is not like, you know, I just got a stone and it's nice and it seems to be helping me. These give off energies that will shift your field and consciousness. It will clear things out, will open chakras, open energetic pathways. They will reveal what hurts that's stored under the surface, that's been giving you crap and blocking you and keeping you feeling small and helpless and powerless. Yeah, powerless. I was going to say powerlessness. So you might want to put it away and not think about it, and then go back to it when you need to. I also give this caution to people, or this invitation for understanding to people who get a bunch of stones at once. If you get one or two, like, I don't say anything. If you get 5 or 6, and one lady actually just ordered 9, she ordered one of everything, and everything that's on the site right now. And I wrote to her, don't be surprised if don't be surprised if you don't connect with most of them, and then later you do. And the one you fell in love with when you opened the box, don't be surprised if that one you just don't connect with in 3 weeks, because we need certain frequencies. So anyway, check out the energetically programmed Moldavite on tdjacobs.com, and certainly be in touch over email with questions. And like I said, there are 9 different stones and crystals available on the site. Each is energetically programmed to help you change your life. tdjacobs.com. Bye-bye.